Well, I guess while we're waiting on other people to join the call, maybe we can do some little introductions. I use the name Micha. I'm originally from Texas. The body's so supposedly in the 40s now, about 44. Been kind of waking up over the years. I've always been a little in tune with things, but I didn't really seriously start doing anything until about a year ago. I played some little games throughout the years and studied a lot, but about a year ago I got serious and started participating in Redemption by Method on Yahoo and paying attention to a lot of talk shoes and studying trust law, and started towards the middle and end of the year, got a little serious. I let the license I use expire and just started driving without a license, or traveling without a license, and no insurance, and playing games. Got arrested. You know a little bit about that, Tony, from the Redemption by Method group, and I think I shared a little bit in the Peaceful Inhabitants group on that.
Michael, let me ask you something. Did you ever give them formal notice, or do the, by what authority do you have that I'm required to be licensed? Did you ever do any of that paperwork?
I never did any paperwork. On the street, when I originally got pulled over, I kind of went over that with the officer that pulled me over, and then also the supervisor that came on the scene. But I've actually never really filed any paperwork to, go that route. So.
Yeah, see, I still think they have to be given notice. I mean, this is just my opinion, if I can have such a thing, I guess.
Sounds like you've been on the back calls.
Yeah, I've been listening to Batman. I mean, you had that experience. You were driving, they pulled you over. I think I had written in the email that I wouldn't want to be caught so short. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. If I had a paperwork, because that's what they understand. They understand fictional paper. To me, that would ease the situation.
Right.
So.
What happened to my window here? Yeah, thanks, Megan. I'll check out that site in a little bit. Yeah, Tony, it's something. I think there's probably something to it. It's one of those things I just haven't. I've gotten kind of tired of paperwork, but I do, kind of agree with you to a point. I think, how do they know if you don't let them know? So.
Well, they have no way of interfacing you. I mean, they don't. What the hell is a peaceful inhabitant? They have no clue because they don't deal with that every day. What they deal with is belligerence.
Exactly.
As a matter of fact, I was speaking to a cop the other day, a friend, and that term was brought up. I mean, that's the term they use, belligerent. So.
Yeah. Well, you see that a lot in the War Powers Act and the Leaper Code, and the
but
article that
today.
What's that?
They still use it today, is what I'm saying.
Oh, exactly. Kind of. And if you also look at some of the titles, sergeant, and all, it seems all the military rankings are used in the different law enforcement agencies. So even in businesses, different officers and secretary general and all that. So you they kind of give us a clue that we're definitely under some type of military occupation anyway. I just never was aware of it.
Well, I think we kind of know because we expect protection to some degree, but I don't think we have the full understanding of the intensity behind it, what the true meaning behind it was or is. So.
Yeah, guess 4, I agree with you on that. I slip up a lot and say drive, but I definitely, I travel and, in a private capacity, or I like that, traveling for your own enjoyment. That's pretty great. Yeah, I was listening to the back calls. I heard about them through Redemption by Method, and somebody was talking about some of the back calls when Batman and Boris were active, together. And just between stuff Batman was saying and his mentor, Peacemaker, or I think his name's Bob. Also, a lot of stuff that John Tanis was posting back then, like a year or 6 to 8 months ago, asking a lot of questions. I was getting really frustrated because I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And once I really started listening to the back calls and looking into Peaceful Inhabitant, it just really resonated with me. And I was pissing off a lot of, or it seemed to me I was aggravating a lot of the officers around here just in the courts, just with the stuff I was doing. And now I don't really have anyone bother me. I kind of go about my day-to-day, and, it's just, I'm a lot happier and peaceful being now, and I was always a peaceful being at heart. But as I was learning about what's really going on, I let my ego get involved, and I got really angry, and I was definitely not, treating my brothers and sisters with respect,
So currently you travel in a automobile without a license plate. Is that correct?
Actually, there is a license plate on it. That's the one thing. It actually has tags that are due to expire. I think in August they expire. The driver license I had originally was in another state up in Alaska, and it's been expired now if they ever expire for real, I'm not sure. But on the license it said it expired about a year ago, and I just never renewed it and canceled the insurance last summer. While I was in court, I had a discussion with the attorney or the district attorney's office and the DMV, and I asked if, basically they are very aware now that I do not consent to be in surety, and I will never sign anything the way that they want me to, for that name. But I was asking them, and I really never got a straight answer. I was asking if, before the plates expire, if it would protect the public to, make some kind of arrangement to have, them send me some new tags, but I wouldn't be trading any FRNs for them. If that comes down to it, I'll just send the plate back and put my own private plates on there and send them notice. So I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm going to keep the plates on there until this August when they expired, and then see what happens.
Yeah, I would still do the notice, because that notice puts you I just think if you are confronted, at least you can hand them something that they can relate to. And if with their, what am I thinking of? The notice, and then there's a default, then there's a notice of default, then there's a final notice of default, then there is a contract in place per their thinking.
Yeah.
So
I did a similar process with some corporation, so-called debt collectors, and had decent success with that, but I haven't actually done that with the government, or the so-called government.
So on one of the emails I had put about dealing with Federal Reserve notes and the Section 12 U.S.C. 411, and I know that's their regulations, their laws, whatever, but we still have to do commerce using the name. Can't do commerce without it.
Right.
John has brought that up, and I'm pretty sure Mark has brought that up. Do you have any ideas on that, or does anybody in the chat, or if anybody calls up, what do you feel about that? In a way, as I pointed out on the email, it's reducing the debt, which in a way we are helping our brothers and sisters. It's an issue of, again, according to the David Merrill website, of taxes, that the reason why we are being taxed is because we're using private internal script.
Right.
Do the demand, then, again, according to that website, the Saving to Suitors, non-taxable. You're not using private script. So,
I haven't actually tried it. I haven't tried it myself, but I did lurk around Saving to Suitors for quite a while, and I've actually spoken with David Merrill on the phone a few times, and I really respect him, and it seems like, there's been quite a few people getting, if you want to say remedy, there's been people doing it with success, and I just haven't actually got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it now for a couple of years. It's, you get looked at like from the teller like, panic. I tried opening, I went to a few banks to open an account. They will not allow it on the signature card. Of course, again, panic look on their face. So what I want to do is try one more time. I have some more ducks in order now. They really don't have an option. They must do it. Now, again, they can, try and dissuade me or, talk me out of it. But again, it's the law. It's not my law. It's the law they must follow.
So, have you actually tried, instead of going to the teller, have you actually asked for a supervisor or maybe even the CFO of the bank and deal with them directly instead of the person sitting in the lobby?
I really haven't. When I went to go get the bank account, it was just with a bank rep, and of course they had to call legal. And then, that's when their eyes opened wide when they were on the phone looking at me. And I tried this at 3 different banks.
Wow.
But no, that's all right. Listen, they got to try. You can't fault them for it. But what I did was it makes us stronger when we get this opposition. There's no question. But it is the law, and they must follow it. And if they choose not to, I have a person, individual, ens legis entity I can use to file a complaint file information for investigation as to why these corporate banks are not following their corporate bank charters. And there is an obligation of the Federal Reserve Board and the Comptroller of the Currency to follow through and look into this information and remind the bank that there is a charter in place that they must follow the law.
Mm-hmm. So. It's just interesting that, it doesn't seem like any of them ever follow their own law, all the way up to the courts.
Yeah.
So I just look at it as a bank.
Yep, that's what it is. It's a bank.
Mm-hmm.
You give and they take.
Oh, exactly. Something on the chat room, Guest 4 talked about returning the license back in 2004 and says no problem since. Guest 4, could you elaborate a little bit and tell us kind of what you did and how that transpired, and if you've been pulled over since, or just curious about that. Oh, and Tony, before we get kind of into some more of these topics, one thing I wanted to ask, and this is for everybody, I really would like to come up with and this is, so basically when I started the Peaceful Inhabitant Yahoo group, I didn't start it for myself. I started it because I really wanted to get some like-minded people in there and kind of get away from some of the groups I was involved in that are very negative, just to kind of have a dialogue that's, pertaining to mostly the Peaceful Inhabitant thing. Of course, other things are going to come into it because we're all studying different things, and everybody does have their own path they need to take or whatever resonates, with them. But I really would like to come up with some kind of I hate to say formal, but some type of like a weekly call where we have topics we discuss. But in the group itself, I'd like to, maybe have a section that, people can post anything and everything, about experiences and all that. And I really want to encourage the people on the call right now to do that. Share your stories or at least ideas. And if you have research material, post that stuff. The more, I love to read, so the more that's on there, the better for me. And hopefully you guys feel the same way. The site's set up where anyone can post. You don't have to have an admin password, and I have no moderator set up because I don't want to, get into that. So many of the groups out there, you can't even say thank you. And to me, it's all about just being a person. I mean, not a person, sorry. I don't like that word. It's just about being a...
Worry about it.
Yeah. It's about loving our brothers and sisters and sharing and thinking and, just being real. It looks like Rod's guest 11. Hi, Rod. And anyone else, all the other guests, welcome to the call. it looks like S4 hasn't been pulled over since.
Yes, I was just saying that.
Yeah. Since my situation back in the fall, I have been pulled over one time. Supposedly I was going 5 miles over the posted speed limit, and it was interesting. This is the very first time I actually tried some of the things that Batman talks about. I actually had been on a private call with him talking about what do I do next, because at the time, the court was still trying to get me to pay, even though they had issued a warrant and that had went away, and then they were still sending me bills before they finally went to a debt collector. But I'm sorry, they were sending the name to bills, and I was just, at the time, I wasn't even opening them. I was just sending them back. But I like what John said about you really need to open them, and respond. But anyway, I got pulled over. This has been probably the first week of January, and the officer, I basically just did the peaceful inhabitant thing, and said, what evidence you have that I need to have such a thing? And the guy was actually very nice and listened to me for a moment. And I said, well, why don't you go back and just, run the license, or the license plate since it's still on the vehicle. And I kept saying the vehicle, and he goes, what do you mean the vehicle? I said, well, it's not mine. From what I believe, it's the state's, and, once you run the tag and see what happens. He wasn't in his vehicle for not even 3 minutes, and he came running back over. Hey, I'm very sorry to bug you. You have a nice day. I'm going to let you go. I'm like, no warning or anything? Just, he's like, no, have a good day. So
well, you know why? They got you noted in their system. That's why.
What I'm wondering. That's one reason I would like to hang on to that, to the plate if I can. So I do believe I am going to have to send some type of notice out and see if I can get, some tags put on it before they expire. I'm not actually worried either way, though. I travel in peace now, and I'm actually, the attitude I have about it is I'll deal with it as it happens, and if I happen to get arrested again, then that's fine. I believe I know how to handle myself once I get down to the intake, and I'm not too concerned. I have a pretty good situation, with the place I stay. Pets are taken care of if anything ever happens to me, and unfortunately I have a family, so...
Yeah.
So I don't have a lot of the same type of responsibilities that other people have and that don't want to go to jail. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be arrested, but, if it happens, it happens, because I am going to test the water, so to speak. So.
Let me ask you something. When you get arrested, what do? They want you to sign something, is that correct?
When I was arrested in August, I wouldn't actually claim the name at all, and I hadn't listened to a whole lot of back calls at the time, so I didn't have the confidence to, go the route that he discusses. Mm-hmm. So basically, I just didn't claim the name or the vehicle, and they said if you don't give us a name, we're going to arrest you, and for not having a license. He goes, no, just for not identifying yourself. I said, I'm right here in front of you. I'm a living being right here in front of you. I said, I've used this name before, and I was kind of, trying to test out some of the things I'd heard on the back calls. But when I got down to the station, immediately when there's other people, there's like 16 people, actually, that got arrested around the same time. They had all these people lined up, and we're processing everyone. And people were just answering they were asking all these questions. Are you suicidal? How are you feeling today? And this and that. And I wouldn't answer anything because, they read the rights and said I had the right to remain silent. I took it to heart.
Right.
So finally, I just asked them, said, hey, I waived the right to remain silent for a moment just to ask you a question. You told me I have the right to remain silent, and I'm doing that, and now you're asking me all these questions that I don't really think pertain to anything, so I'm not going to answer those. And they're like, well, you're going in the tank then. So they basically put me in this room off to the side, just held me there. And eventually they opened the door and said, do you want to comply now? And I said, no, I'd like to speak to a judge or magistrate. And after that, everything changed. I was out of there within an hour.
Oh,
and
okay.
They
That's
did.
good to know.
Yeah. And they actually didn't put me in front of a judge. They just basically said, the only way you're getting out of here is if you give us a name and we fingerprint and take photos of you. And I said, well, I don't want to stay here, so I will do that under threat of duress. And I made sure that everything was on the record. And I said, you guys have been very nice to me, but, I just want to let you know I do this under a threat of duress, because I don't want to stay here. I like to go home. I have pets, and I like to go feed them. And, if that's what you need, I'll do it. And I was very nice the whole time. I didn't have an attitude at all. And the whole time I was in was maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Everyone else that went in that would answer all their questions and everything had to change into little orange jumpsuits and stay the night, and I was out quickly. So, and no one else asked to see a judge. It was kind of interesting that it went that way.
Let me ask you something. You allowed them to take the fingerprints. You did not say anything, I do not consent.
Well, I did. I said that. I said I do not consent probably 20 times in that hour.
Okay. And they still took the fingerprints.
Oh, they said I would not be able to leave if they didn't, and I almost just said, okay, I'm not, that's fine, just keep me here, but I actually had stuff to do the next day and wanted to get out.
Okay.
And
what happened
I was in the military. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish.
I was in the Navy when I was younger, and I've actually been fingerprinted then. And then for another contract I had when I first got out of the military, I had a government contract briefly. I was fingerprinted then, so all my, all the prints that I have on this body were already in their system anyway. Okay. So I wasn't honestly that concerned. It did bother me that I didn't stand my ground on that, but I really wanted to get out of there.
Okay.
So that does concern me that I played the game just, to get out of there, but, I don't know.
Don't let that concern you. I mean, it's not a pleasant place. They're holding you under duress. You do not want to be there. So, I wouldn't let that be a concern for you. You did the right thing for what you thought at that moment. It's not wrong. But let me ask you, what happened to your, not to your automobile, but the automobile you use?
Oh, when they tried to pull me over, it was on a highway, and I didn't pull over until I saw private property. And I basically, when they tried to they actually opened the door and tried to drag me out at one point. And I said, hey, I'm being nice. Why don't you just let me step out on my own? I'll get out. And the second I got out, I put the key in my pocket. I locked the door and shut it. And since I was parked on private property, they didn't mess with it. It was still there. The second I got out, I had a friend take me back, and I went and traveled back home right in it.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Now,
so there was an angel on your side. No question.
Again?
There was an angel on your side. There's no question about that.
Seems like it. And
yeah.
And plus, for the most part, it was nice, even though I wasn't happy. I was, very polite the whole time. So
let me ask you this: in retrospect, getting back to the fictional paperwork, though that's what they understand, do you think if you would have had, say, the Bible and the proclamation, I don't know, that the Reagan signed, and a copy of your birth certificate, and had something, a certified copy that you had put something in public records that you are a peaceful inhabitant, do you think that situation would have turned out the same, or do you think, they just would have let you go right then and there?
I don't know. I saw, I was reading when John posted that, and I really was intrigued by that because it resonated with me pretty much. But who knows, One of the things the supervisor said, the sergeant or whatever, said that, we're not going to hold court right here on the side of the road. Let's go down to the station and take care of it. And it's like, I think a lot of it he didn't want. The stuff I was talking about with the sergeant, the young officer, and he was actually a pretty new guy. He had someone riding with him. He got him as soon as I started discussing, things that I guess were too sensitive for the younger guy. He got him out of the way and had a private conversation through the window, and he knew what I was talking about. But then he was like, let's just go down the station. I don't want to do this right here on the side of the road, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'll sit there all day. We're off the road. There's no one going to hit us. I was about a block off the road in this private area. And no, I don't want to hold court here on the side of the road. And I said, well, that's good. I don't think you really are authorized to hold court. But who knows with, showing, all I carry in the vehicle now is just a copy of the birth certificate. I don't carry a Bible or any kind of other paperwork, but I do have just the birth certificate. Okay. Actually, I keep that in my wallet. Actually, I carry that, or the wallet I use. I keep that with me at all times, and that's all I carry.
Okay.
So, I mean, so who knows? You know, it's just interesting that when I was pulled over in January, you know, as soon as they ran the plates, it was just, have a good day.
Yep. You're in their system. Congratulations.
Well, thanks. We'll see what happens when the tags expire.
Well, if you didn't have their driver's license and the car, we have to remember the car is still theirs. They could have said, well, only a government employee with a driver's license can be operating government property, a motor vehicle. So you have to be tagged something in their system that says, let him go.
Yeah, well, one thing, you know, I didn't even think about this earlier when you asked me if I filed anything with them, any kind of notice. When I first went to court 3 times over this before I decided to quit going. The very first time I actually did file an affidavit that I had 3 witnesses sign, and I would definitely reword it now, but it pretty much, I'll just say this, the presiding judge that I eventually saw had read it, and he pulled me to the side privately. We almost went as chambers, but I was the last case of the day, and he did just say, you know, that he understands. 3 or 4 times he said, I understand, because I just would not claim the name no matter what they tried. They tried over and over and over, and they pulled me to the side. Well, you approached the bench, and he actually got up and went to the side of the bench and just said, you know, it looks like you're going to stand your ground on this, and, you know, we're still going to, you know, have to collect the fees somehow. And I said, well, it won't be for me.
That's it.
I said, I appreciate it, but, you know, I appreciate the offer, but I think I made it fairly clear that I'm not going to contract with you. And, you know, I said, this will probably be the last time I appear. Well, I'll get you for contempt, and I'll have a bench warrant. I said, well, you can do that for the name, but I'd appreciate it if you leave me out of it. And that's what's really interesting is that's exactly what they did, but I think a lot of it, I used the not a citizen letter that Mark had on that particular case or situation, and I used it pretty much verbatim because at the time I wasn't changing things. I was still kind of a little scared to use paperwork, but you know, I tried it, and interesting enough, it's just I've been left alone.
Excellent.
John, Tony, I want to back up just a little bit on the chat room. It looks like there's an interesting conversation going on about, I want to read what guest 4 has typed in.
Sure.
In the situation that he had. That is great, guest 4. Hi, Dragon. I was hoping that John would call in, but it looks like he has some stuff going on with his son, so he's probably pretty distracted at the moment. I also invited the Batman, but he said that he and Alfred have some stuff to do this evening. Cracks me up what he calls his wife. You still there, Tony?
Yes, I'm here. I'm reading what guest 4 is writing.
Okay.
He's funny, or she is funny.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the call, Dragon, and anyone else that's joined. Anybody wants to call in, call in. Let's get some more people on the horn. Oh, and I just said people. Let's get some more brothers and sisters on the horn.
Well, we knew what you meant.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, participating in the back calls every now and then. I actually like when you slip up and the Batman will just, what do you mean yours or people or this or that? But I was on a private call with him once, and I slipped up a few times. He goes, it's just the 2 of us, just talk normal. I said, no, I need to practice this. I had him, you know, keep me on task, and I tried to do it throughout my daily life, but it's hard. It's, you know, 44 years of speaking one way. It's,
yes.
You know,
well, you believe
every now and then.
years, but you have no first-hand knowledge of that, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was a little too young to realize, what day or time it was, or if any of that even exists. All I have is hearsay. Hey, looks like Lady Fairfax is here. Good to see you. Lady Fairfax is on the back calls quite often. Oh, Tony, I heard you on the Not a Citizen call. I think 2 weeks ago, or the last call, or call before last.
Yes, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you had some good points there. That was interesting.
Let's see if I remember what they were. Oh, the term spoliated owner or naked owner versus spoliated man and naked man.
Right.
So remember what Mark had said. He had said, do not use the term owner because that, again, as I'm paraphrasing it, probably not very well. Owner suggests owning something. So
yeah.
that started a whole thing because, in the Libra Code it says, what does it say, spoliated owner, whatever. And one's a user-fruct term and the other one's a trust term, and it's like, it's like peeling an onion. You just don't ever seem to get to the core. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that bottom line so you could just move forward with it.
Yeah.
So.
I've seen firsthand knowledge of some people or some men and women that I know, and there is definitely something to, the trust issue, and there are some people that are getting successes or remedies, if you want to say that. I actually used, the third time I went to court before I decided to use the Not a Citizen letter and just quit showing up, I actually, in their format, I had a document filed, because I was just doing my own private letters at first, and they'd put them in the record, but the judges were just like, we can't read this, which was interesting because it wasn't in their form. Well, right. The final one I put in before I did the Not a Citizen letter and quit showing up, I actually put a pretty good, short and to the sweet letter about the SSK trust and appointing the trustee, the judge, the trustee, and all this and that. And it was interesting, the response. And at this point, they had made sure I was the last person each time, because the first time I went in during the preliminary hearing, they didn't. There was a full court, and I guess they didn't want me talking in front of that many people again. So the information I put in, which I'll put on the Yahoo forum, but it came right from. Have you heard of Judge Dale?
Yes, that was the one with Rod Class, was it not?
I think so. I originally saw it on the Redemption by Method, but I think that did come from Rod Class. A lot of people were trying to figure out if that Judge Dale was actually a judge or just somebody claiming to be. And I actually have firsthand knowledge that he was a judge, and he was actually a very honest judge and did leave for the right reasons. And it was interesting that as soon as I used something that he had recommended and a few of his emails that he had been sending out, especially there's a gentleman named Andrew that was actually professing to be friends with the guy in real life. He had sent me something privately, and I tried it, and boy, it shook up the court. And as soon as I brought it up, the bailiff left the room. He wanted nothing to do with it.
I think I misunderstood. What did you bring up? The quorum nobilis? No,
I just brought up. No, I brought up the SSK trust.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Pretty much that it, and that I told him there's no way I'm going to be surety for the name, and you're the trustee, not me. And I was pretty, he didn't let me read it out loud. They took it in, and I filed this about an hour before the hearing, and after everyone left the room, there was just myself and the bailiff, the judge, and one assistant, and then the state. The assistant district attorney was in there. As soon as it came up, he asked me about the paperwork, and I said, well, you're trying to get me to become surety, and I'm not. I'm not the trustee. I don't even know anything about an estate, and I'm not going to play this game. I think I've been very clear from the beginning that, I don't own the name, or that I'm not going to claim the name. And I don't know why I'm here. I said, this is the third time I've been here, and each time you guys continue this. And, I think it's kind of silly. I'm just here to, because I said I'm here under threat and arrest. I don't want to, be arrested again. But, I think this is the last time I'm going to come in. I think you guys know how I feel about the matter. And as soon as I brought that up and said the word Sesame Trust, the bailiff actually left.
Oh.
Never came back. Just left the room.
Okay. Did the judge tell him to leave, or he just left on his own?
He just left on his own. No,
Wow.
I didn't see any eye contact or anything. He just walked right out. And he works for the local sheriff's department, and I had actually put a notice in with them. Because in the beginning, I was going to try to sue under Title 42 a few different things, and then I decided...
That's a no-no.
Yeah, I figured that out pretty quickly. So I brought it up, and boy, they get angry.
Well, that's for citizens. Title 42 is for citizens.
Yeah, and then I realized that and decided not to play in that arena. So. Yeah.
Another one of the Yahoo groups, it's administrating your public servants with Glenn House of Fern. He does not at all recommend that. As a matter of fact, it was on one of the email blasts today about that. What he says is, and if you're ever going to do anything where you want money, or what we call, or what everybody else calls money, how you have to go after their bonds.
Yeah.
And that's why I had put in that one of those that paperwork about as a deterrent, and you eloquently wrote back about not putting the fee schedule in there.
That's just a personal preference, but.
Well, I see both ends of it, and again, it's not because I'm looking to take their job away, because as soon as you put a claim in, that's it, their job is done. It just, some of them actually listen, but then again, some of them don't want to listen. So it's kind of playing the odds on that.
Yeah.
So.
I know the guy here in Oregon that, and this is hearsay through a friend, but it's only one generation deep. It's a close friend of mine has a family member that's like a distant cousin, so it's more like a friend. But he lives down in Southern Oregon, and he has been traveling for years without a driver's license or insurance or tags. And anytime he gets pulled over, the first thing he does is says, "I need to see your business card. I need your badge number, and I also need your bond number." And he pretty much, it goes away quickly. Every now and then he has to get a supervisor on the scene. But he's also in a lot of other things and hardcore into the sovereign citizen thing, and he's always at war, but he does have a lot of success traveling. And but I think that the way he's at war, eventually they're going to take him down. That's just my belief.
Well, see, the thing is, no, let me use the right terms. Traveling in an automobile without a tag on it is, like waving a red flag.
Yep.
So if you are, you want to go out to dinner one night and, it's going to be a pleasant night, and then you get stopped, well, and I got to start chatting at the side of the road, I just don't know how far people want to go, making their life have to deal with these situations. So, yeah, we all comply, and then we all become sheeple. But, again, I think we have to pick our battles. Sometimes it's just easier to put the damn license plate on, and then if you get stopped and your notices have been filed and all that paperwork is, as in trust law, they say create records. So it can't be, refuted or rebutted. Once notice has been given, there's final notice of default. That's it. So.
Yeah.
But again, the license plate, I think, is just, if they'll send you, like Mark Fishman said, if it'll help the public, I'm willing to put the plate on. Just send it to me. That's fine. I wouldn't have an issue with that. But for whatever it costs, $50 a year, it's just not worth that aggravation.
Yeah. I like what guest 4 put up here about after a while with many experiences, one builds the skill sets to keep firing back with questions and never testifying with a declaratory statement or declaratory statement. That's something I've had a couple of talks with Batman privately, and he said that. He goes, he said he has a stack of paperwork a foot thick, and said that now he doesn't do any kind of declaratory statements. He just asks questions. And so it's, I think there's, if you feel like you need to do the notices and all that, go for it. I think I hate to use the word remedy, but I think what works for some doesn't work for others. I think just whatever resonates with the heart. And when you're being true to yourself and you're getting your message across, I think that's a big part of it. I still don't have a whole lot of experience with a lot of filings, but I do think because that the tags are going to be expired soon, I am going to let the DMV know that. Well, I've already kind of noticed them when I went to court, but I do think I'm going to send them something a little more formal. And I'm now just doing letters that are real short and sweet, like I was writing a loved one. So it'll probably be just a brief letter. Hey, the tags are up to expire to protect the public. Would you like to send, or please send another tag out, so I can keep that on there or whatever. But I'll make sure I word it a little more professionally, of course.
No, I understand, of course.
I want to mention or say hi to Lady Fairfax. Are you on the call, lady?
I'm here.
Just want to say hi. I've heard you talk on Batman before, and just want to say hello. Thanks for joining us.
He really lays into me, doesn't he?
Yeah, but you handle it well, and he loves you.
Yeah, I know. I can take it. I'll learn one of these days. One of these days he's going to, be nice to me, and then I'll know I'm okay.
Oh, gosh. Actually, that's when you're in trouble.
Oh, really? Oh, that's okay. Well, good. Well, then I'm doing all right. All right. Good talking to you.
Nice talking to you. Yeah, participate. We're just, basically, this is just the first call that we've done on the Yahoo group, and, just wanted to get some people on the horn and just discuss things, and also figure out now how we want to structure the group, and, just people sharing experience, getting to know each other a little bit, and, keep it friendly. And I did invite the Batman, but I think he was busy this evening. But, I figured he might throw some spice in, and I was hoping Mark from Not a Citizen and John Tannis and some others would come in, but, it is what it is, and I'm very happy that all the people that have joined. It's the first call,
Mhm. Yeah, you got a lot of people. I followed you over from the Reclaim Your Securities.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually left all the Yahoo groups. I still listen to a few talk shows, but I just decided that there's so much negativity, and even though I do miss a lot of the information that was shared, I'm not really studying all the stuff I was studying anymore. I'm actually getting out and hiking more and just living a life now instead of just, seems like the last year I spent, hundreds of hours just reading.
Me too.
And now, now I'm actually out there living again, and kind of nice.
I can't wait to feel like that. I'm almost there. I think. I'm hoping.
Well, I don't have all the answers, that's for sure. I just right now, and being left alone, and I'll be playing I hate to say playing, but I'm going to be dealing with the tax issue soon, and see how that goes. I don't know if you guys have been reading the posts that have been on the Yahoo group, but we've been discussing, to file or not to file, and what to do on that arena, and so.
But they don't really come after you for a while.
Say again?
They don't really come after you for a while.
Yeah.
But maybe it might be different now. I don't know. It's been a while since I haven't.
That's
What were you
why
saying,
that's why I wanted to look into the redeeming lawful money, because what that does is that just eliminates so much aggravation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that, David Merrill's Saving the Suitors Group, it's very sound, and there's so much good information that, I think if you can get a bank to finally do that, I think that's definitely the way to do it. Have you seen in his site where it talks about notice in the IRS that if you had known you could claim redeem lawful money, you would have been doing so since the day you started, so-called working?
Yep.
I did that last
that makes perfect
year.
sense, though.
Yeah, that was a notice I actually sent out last year, but I sent it out with, when I did when I sent in the taxes, I actually also sent in a notice, and I had done an A for V that actually had success on with them, and they were trying to garnish some wages and this and that, and I haven't heard anything from them in over 6 months.
I'm sorry, Mike, did you say they did garnish or they were about to garnish?
They threatened to, and I sent I had done an A for V that, I never heard anything about, so I just sent a letter to the Portland, there's an office up in Portland, Oregon.
Right.
I sent a very short notice, and it's actually handwritten, and it was very short. It just said, on such and such date, I sent out a negotiable instrument to settle this matter. Since it was not refused and sent back to me, it looks like it's been perfected, and that's it. And I never heard anything else, and they never garnished the wages. Matter of fact, they were calling the place I was working at the time about once a week, talking to the manager or the director, and the calls just stopped.
Excellent.
So who knows? I'm actually I have a contract now with that place, so I'm not having any taxes taken out. They just do the 1099, but I'm still debating how to handle it. Still looking into some of the things that John and you and Rod and some others had posted on the site.
You went private contractor?
Yeah, I was working at a animal shelter, and kind of in management, and doing a lot of graphic design and photography as well. And I wanted just to do the graphic design and photography and not all the other stuff I was doing. And just made a proposal to them, and they went for it. So now I'm just doing contract work.
I had questioned on David Merrill's website about the Social Security taxes, and I still cannot get a response from anybody on there. I've sent a couple of requests because if you get the straight check and you do all redemption for lawful money, for income taxes, they're clear on the income tax, but they're not clear on the Social Security tax.
Yeah.
So I've not gotten a response on that.
I would recommend send David Merrill a private message. There's so many posts on that site that sometimes he gets a little bogged down, I think.
Okay.
But I've actually, last year, quite a few times actually, and even a couple of phone calls, just send him a private message and got a response pretty quickly. He does travel just a little bit, so he could be busy at the moment too. I'm surprised no one else has responded though, because that's actually a pretty active group.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's some people respond with the term withholdings, like on a regular employee check. So withholdings can be federal income tax, state income tax, and Social Security tax. But again, nobody's been specific, and I haven't found any site. They say Social Security taxes are like a income tax. I think that was the term that was used, or the Supreme Court ruled like that back in the 30s or something. I don't quite remember it now, but it was similar to a federal income tax.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's not been clear where that's going. And of course, what Boris came up with on the 1099, the W-2 forms are tax class 5 forms, which are estate and gift taxes.
Yeah.
So there's a whole other can of worms that have been opened up.
Oh, yeah. Quick thing for guest 14. Guest 14, you said that you returned to sender, no contract, any and all letters from the tax people, and that takes care of it. How many so-called years have you been doing that? And then on that note with Boris and all that, I was actually studying the SSK Trust quite heavily. I was reading very old books I would find on Google Books. I was going to law libraries and reading all these, anything and everything I could find on the SSK Trust and the SSKD Act, just because I was curious about it. It was pretty fascinating to me. And to me, it kind of fits in with the whole, lost at sea, they're presuming you to be a decedent, this and that. So when Boris presented that and actually looked that up for myself, so I'd have the first-hand knowledge, it makes sense to me, like the whole strawman theory, the SSK Trust, it kind of, it's like they're actually just telling the story right there. Yeah, this is what we presume you to be, but then now I don't look at it as they're presuming me to be that. They're presuming the name is that, In one of
Hey, you guys.
Go ahead.
I wanted to give you guys some new thing to look at. It's SSA Form SSA 711.
Can you post that to the forum?
I
Or to the chat?
I can't. I printed it off.
Oh, okay.
It's called Request for Deceased Individual Social Security Record. And,
I'm sorry. I
can
can barely understand you. Can you repeat that one more time?
It's called Request for Deceased Individual Social Security Record. It gives you an opportunity to get your original SS5.
Is that a form that's on their website?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen that. Yeah.
It doesn't ask for a death certificate.
It doesn't?
No.
Oh, nice. That's interesting.
I'm working on that one.
It's interesting because they always want that birth certificate and Social Security number for, even though neither one are supposed to be used for personal identification. Seems like they sure do want it.
It doesn't ask for a death certificate. It's asking, this is the form to get a deceased individual.
Oh, got it. And it doesn't ask for a death certificate, even though that's what it's for.
Yes.
Huh. That's interesting. Sorry, I'm reading the chat board. Oh, yeah, guest 14. That's pretty interesting because I've actually, there's a person I'm very good friends with, and in 1984, his so-called father decided just to not pay taxes anymore, and he started doing the same thing, and almost exactly that word, that verbiage on the envelope, just return to sender, no contract, refused for cause on the outside of the envelope, never opened it. He started doing that in 1984, and he has never had any issues. And he actually has a contracting company, and he builds homes and makes a pretty darn good living, quite a large number of FRNs every year. And he's been doing this since '84 and has never had a problem because he has just never opened the documents and never communicates with them. And they've never called him on it, which is really bizarre.
Now, let me ask you something, Micah. Do you know a little more detailed on this? Does this guy have a house? Does he have a car in his name? Or in his name?
Yeah, he does everything else just like, the rest of the, I hate to say the sheeple, but the rest of the, the people that aren't in the know do.
Business name. This is not all held in an LLC or anything like that.
That is the one thing, his contracting business is an LLC.
Okay.
I think that's a big reason that they've left him alone.
Okay.
That's something that it's just, I would love to sit down and pump his head, but he just really won't talk about it. he just goes, no, that's just a private matter. And he goes, I'll just tell you, if you refuse to contract with them, they can't do anything about it. But I really believe that having an LLC is a big part of it. If you look into, all the contract law and really dig deep in that, it seems that the private man is protected, even though he didn't really do it as a, I asked him, I said, were you doing like the Patriot movement or any, sovereign citizen type thing? And he didn't know anything about any of that. He was like, what are you talking about? No, I read the tax law and don't think that I should have to pay it because it doesn't make any sense.
That's what all the people with the money do.
What's that?
I said that's what all the people with money do.
They just don't pay?
They just go private.
Yeah, they just do an LLC and that's it. I don't know. It's interesting, though. Oh, the state is Tennessee. And I'm not sure what type of LLC. I could find that out. In case 14, that return to sender no contract, I did that with the court about 6 times when they were trying to build a name for the case that they eventually threw out, and have now been receiving, the name has been receiving bills from the debt collector on behalf of the court. And I've been doing the same thing with the paperwork, but I did call them the first one I received, and I posted this, I think, in the forum yesterday or the day before, possibly this morning. I'm not sure. I've had a crazy week. But I called, and I wanted to try to really stay on point, and it took about an hour to get a person who would actually claim that they were a manager. And actually, this was just in an attorney's office, and I'm pretty sure that everyone I spoke with was actually an attorney besides the original person, the receptionist. But I finally got someone on the horn that basically came out and finally said, well, if you're not the name, this doesn't concern you, and we won't discuss anything else. And I said, well, thank you, and we got off the phone. Well, I really wish I'd have came back with, oh, well, it looks like we're in agreement. If I'm not the name, then I'm not liable. Good luck finding a liable party. If you need anything else, just give me a call. But that would have been pretty interesting.
Montanus responded that way when he was in court or something, or that's how he recommended when somebody was in court. Thank you for agreeing I'm not the person you're looking for.
I did that with a lower judge in the circuit court before I got the presiding judge after they didn't know what to do with me, and the response was funny. The judge just shut up. They just, it seems like whenever you call them on something that if you're close or right on, they just stay on mute. They don't say a word.
Yeah, well, what are they going to say? Yeah, everything we do is in fraud. I mean, what really are they going to say?
And that's so funny because a lot of people get so upset when they don't get any responses to their letters. And the thing is, I don't ever expect a response. They can't come out and give us a letter or tell us in court in front of all these witnesses that, yeah, you're right. You caught us on it. It's all fraud. This is just not going to happen.
No.
Did you listen to Rod Classic last talk show?
I haven't actually had a chance yet. Is that from his latest court case?
Oh, yeah, you got to. It's really good.
I've been really wanting to check out that case. So that's actually up there. When did he go in? On Wednesday?
Yeah.
What was the subject of the case?
Oh, they took his Jeep. They pulled him over, like 5 or 10 cops with no lights, and confronted him about being a PAG, and they had a bail bondsman come down there and talk to him, and the bondsman told him to leave him alone, and they took his car, but left him alone.
Oh, they left him. I didn't realize they left him alone. They just took the Jeep and left him on the side of the.
Yeah, but he wants his stuff back, but they tried to. They gave him. They threw him out. Threw his case out, but they gave him an answer that he was happy about because he said what they explained is that he was supposed to go through normal administrative stuff. But see, if he was supposed to go through normal administrative channels, and so were they with us. And they never do.
Yeah.
That's his big news.
Oh, they never practice what they preach. What they want us to do, they never do.
But we have that limited.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask?
Hmm?
Can I ask whose call is this?
It's Rod Class. It's AIB. That's right.
No.